Good morning, friends. My wife and I are really thankful the way the Lord made night and day. Because if you have a bad day, you can always say, well, I hope tomorrow will be better. You go to sleep, you wake up, and it's like a fresh start every day. So, I've had my challenges, you've had yours, and nobody has a cakewalk on planet Earth. Nobody, no one has it made in the shade, easy in the rocking chair life on planet Earth. It does not exist. If you're on planet Earth, it's a battle and a march every day as we push toward the kingdom of God. Now, Luke 12:1, it talks about the leaven of the Pharisees, right? The leaven of the Pharisees is hypocrisy, a hypocrite. Somebody one time, they said about a church, you're all a bunch of hypocrites in there. I said, well, come on and join us. There's room for one more. Because most of us, there is some disconnect between what we say and the lives we lead. The outward part of our life, it's everything from what you eat, what you drink, the music you listen to, the way if you in your workplace, administration, education, the music, everything. All the visible parts of the life present this picture. And then what we say presents another picture. And if they're not the same picture, that's kind of you might say, maybe a little bit of hypocrisy. In other words, you say one thing and you do another. And Jesus told the Pharisees in Matthew 5:20, unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the Pharisees, you'll no wise enter the kingdom of God. Of course, when he was using the word hypocrite and hypocrisy back then, it was a word that meant, hypocrite. The Greek word just meant actor. That it's all an act. So, there's a danger that what we say, even we think we mean it, but then you come into a situation and it reveals, well, maybe you got a little bit of hypocrisy in your heart. My dear friends, that happened to me. I'd like to show you. I made a little video. I was working on a video up in the garden, and I want to show you part of it. It's self-explanatory. The subject was, the things that are really important. Being a true blue, sincere, simple Christian. If you're a sincere, simple Christian, you realize a lot of things don't really matter. They don't really matter. Doesn't matter. My hair is turning white. It doesn't matter. My hair is turning loose. It doesn't matter. I got a beat up old car. It really doesn't matter. My wife doesn't love me. That matters. No, that matters, right? No, my wife loves me. There are some things that matter and some things that don't. And if you occupy your time dealing with the things that don't matter, you might just overlook the things that do. That's what Jesus is telling Peter. In John 21:22, he explains to Peter, this is your future. When you were young, you girded yourself, you dressed yourself, you went where you wanted to go. But when you're old, another's going to stretch forth your arms, gird you to and take you to a place you don't want to go. Thus spake he, signifying by what death Peter should die. And then in the account, Peter sees John, right? And he asked Jesus, what about him? What about him? And Jesus told Peter, what is it to thee if he should tarry till I come? What is it to thee? Mind your own business. In a gentle way, he told him, look, your business is not John's future. Your business is yours. And it's an encouragement to us. Keep our mind on the things that are important, the things that matter. Now, I want to show you just a short video made the other day. Take a look. I just become a Christian, attending a church, large church, and I didn't wear a tie. I didn't think much about wearing a tie. And so I'd go to church, no tie, and then one day I'd been going to church 3 or 4 months. Somebody walked up to me and said, look, I'd like to speak to you. I'd like to talk with you regarding, I thought he said tithe, T-I-T-H-E, the tithe. And I said, well, okay, because I'd studied that out, and I knew what I thought. And we got out in the parking lot, and he said, why don't you wear a tie? T-I-E. And that's not what I thought he was going to say, a tie. And it bothered him. It caused him, it offended him that I didn't wear a tie. And if he'd asked me, well, I don't really need that. It's not important. I don't need that. But I got an important principle that morning. It's in 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 13. Paul says, if I'm going to eat meat and that's going to be offensive to my brother, then I'm not going to eat meat. And then he says, even until the world ends, I'm not going to do it. So even though to Paul it wasn't any big deal, it was to one of his brothers in the church, and he said, I'm not going to offend him. And so I started wearing a tie. Now I think the tie has no value whatsoever. It's just a piece of cloth wrapped around your neck. And generally that was that's 27, 28 years ago. Today, in the church I attend, I don't wear a tie. It just has no virtue, no meaning for me. If somebody wears one, I think that's great. But and if somebody stumbled over me not wearing one, I'd certainly put one on. But what prompted me to start thinking in this line is that, last week I talked to a friend of mine. He's up in Ohio. Evidently in the past, maybe today, he still is a sharp dresser. A sharp dresser. He said, I like to look good when I go out. And he used to, I guess, live in New York. He said, when you go out and you want to dress sharp in New York, your socks, you got to match your pants. He said, really? I said, down here in the hills in Tennessee, a lot of us don't even wear socks. Your socks have to match your pants. And I thought, does that really matter? Does it matter if your socks match your pants? And evidently to him it did. Now, it's easy to stand up and say those things. To talk about, what's really important, what really matters, not to be a stumbling block for your brother. If not wearing a tie offends somebody, I'm going to put a tie on. But today is, what's today? Monday. This just happened 2 or 3 days ago. It just happened. My wife and I were out for a nice afternoon walk. We had a couple hours, just to relax. We were out in the woods there taking a walk. And I took a picture of the road. I was trying to get a picture of a long winding road. I'm doing this video series on my testimony. And I'm calling it The Long Road Home, and the reason is obvious. My dear friends, it's a long road back to the kingdom. So I was trying to take a picture of this winding, long dirt road we were walking on. And then when I took some pictures, we were walking, having nice fellowship conversation. My wife of 41 years, best wife on planet Earth, best cook on planet Earth, just my best friend on planet Earth, my best earthly friend. And I said, Darlene, here, let me just flip the camera around. We'll take us a selfie. And she said, your t-shirt is sticking up. It looks like it's choking you. Here, let me pull your t-shirt down before we take the picture. And I told my wife, I said, Darlene, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter about your t-shirt. And what I did, I made an issue over the t-shirt. I was making something very important out of something that really didn't matter. What I should have done, instead of making an issue of it, instead of explaining to Darlene why it doesn't matter if the t-shirt's up, it doesn't matter about t-shirt high or low, it doesn't really matter. What I should have done is just pull t-shirt down. I just said, sure, honey, pull t-shirt down. If my t-shirt was causing my wife to stumble, pull thing down. Don't worry about it, just pull the thing down. Instead of giving a nice lecture on why it doesn't matter. And my dear friends, I could see the hypocrisy in what I was saying on the video about the tie and my unwillingness to drop my t-shirt down a ½ inch for my wife. Lord have mercy on me, a hypocrite. But I don't want to be one. So what the Lord does, He continues to reveal in our hearts the plague spots so we can come to Him and get cleaned up. It's the upper room experience, but in a different context. Jesus was washing feet, cleaning the disciples up. Maybe until He started, John chapter 13, verse 4, He took a towel and He girded Himself, right? Started washing feet. That revealed to the disciples the double part they're playing. They're arguing about who'd be accounted the greatest, And the greatest being that ever existed from eternity ages and from the past to the future, God himself is washing his feet. That is greatness. You know, Peter had to feel like a hypocrite. And John, and James, and Andrew, and all these guys. And, I dare say maybe there's a little bit of hypocrisy in all of us. So may God help us not to be actors today. Now, I'm serious. Not to be actors. We're not politicians. We're not trying to win a vote. We're trying to be sincere heart Christians. What we want is heart religion. I don't want the religion of the Pharisees, because unless your righteousness is, 5:20 in Matthew, exceeds the righteousness of the Pharisees, you'll in no wise enter the kingdom of heaven. I want to go into heaven. I want to go a simple man, a real deal Christian. No guile. John 1:47, Jesus looked at Nathanael. There, he said, an Israelite indeed in whom there's no guile. That's the way I want to be. The 144,000, there was no guile found in their mouth. So Lord, help us to be real Christians. So when people come into the church or into your home or into your workplace, what they see is what they get. God bless you. You have a nice day.